Hello, I am Tripti Pandey, your today's host. Worldly Voice presents a special interview of a well-known politician, Subhashini Ali ma'am, who is currently a member of a Communist Party of India, Marxist. Women's rights activists had filed a PIL in the Supreme Court to revoke the immunity of the 11 convicts involved in the Bilkis Bano case. The PIL said that the convicts should not be released as this case is involving a gang rape and a murder. In this case, Subhashini Ali ma'am, Laul ma'am, and Roop Rekha Verma ma'am had filed a PIL in the Apex Court seeking the orders to revoke the remission of the convicts. Today, we have got the opportunity to know what Subhashini Ali ma'am thinks about the Bilkis Bano case. Firstly, I would like to welcome you, ma'am. So, ma'am, on first hand, there is a slogan of Beti Bachao and Beti Padhao, and we claim to improve the women's security. And on the other hand, the accused of the Bilkis Bano rape case and the murder are released. How do you see it, ma'am?
First of all, they're not accused. They've been convicted. They've been convicted and sentenced to life. This is very important to remember. You see, I can say that I have been involved with this case since the 2002 riots, when a delegation from my women's organization, the All India Democratic Women's Association, AIDWA, we visited Gujarat in the first week of March 2002. And actually, we visited the Godhra camp for riot victims on I think it was the 8th or 9th of March, or maybe 10th of March. And there we actually met Bilkis Bano. She was, you can imagine this, it was just 2 days after she had been subjected to the most horrifying violence that can be imagined. She was very, very thin and sickly, and she was 5 months pregnant. And I think we were the first people from outside to speak to her. There had been one journalist, and then there was us, and we took a long interview with her in which she told us all the details of what had happened, how she and her family members had escaped from their village because they were being pursued by these rioters, and they took shelter in another village. And that night, her sister-in-law, her bhabi, delivered a baby. And the next morning, again, they had to start running. So her mother, her bhabi, and herself, and I think 11 male members of the family, and her 3-year-old child, and the bhabi's 1-day-old child, they were all trying to escape. And then these rioters from their own village, they surrounded them, and they couldn't escape any further. And then first the 1-day-old baby was beaten on the ground on his head, and he died. Then her child was picked up and beaten again on the ground on his head, and he was killed in front of her. Then the mother was gang raped in front of the daughter and daughter-in-law. The daughter-in-law and daughter were gang raped in front of each other, male relatives and their own mother. And then the men were all brutally killed. And these 2 women also died. And Bilkis was actually, she became unconscious. And she and the others kept begging those people because they knew them. कि अरे काका, अरे मामा, अरे भाई, आप क्या कर रहे हैं, आप क्या कर रहे हैं? Because often we hear that the people who are committing these crimes, they are unknown people or they are strangers. But here it was not the case. They had all known each other since they were born, lived as neighbors, and so naturally it makes the whole incident even more horrible. And she was left for dead, and those people went away, the rioters, the killers. And then she got the petticoat of one of the women, and she put it on, and she walked a little while, and she was able to stop a police jeep, and she was brought to Godhra and taken to the hospital. She was fortunate in the sense that all the proof of what had happened to her was kept safely. That means the clothes, and the swab test was done in the hospital. The rape was established, gang rape was established. and she was able to name all the people who were involved. And then she was brought to this camp. I'd also like to tell you something interesting, that Godhra is the place where the train caught fire. I'm not going into how it caught fire, that's another story. But no rioting took place in Godhra because the district magistrate, a woman, she imposed curfew at 9:30 in the morning of the 27th of February itself. So there was no rioting in Godhra. These bodies, charred bodies, were deliberately taken to Ahmedabad and displayed on the Ahmedabad railway station platform. And we believe it was done to incite rioting. And that's when the rioting started. So if you look at the logic of it, the rioting should have started in Godhra, but there was no rioting in Godhra, and started in Ahmedabad, where the bodies were taken. I think these are all very important things for us to remember. After that, she told us what happened to her and so on. And we took her whole interview and we published it also. And we helped a group of people who were helping her to get justice, who were fighting her case. And I don't want to reveal their names, very brave people. They spent years following the case with Bilkis, who was a very courageous woman, because this happened in 2002. And in Gujarat itself, the police actually destroyed the bodies that had been left, of our family members and all that. And they tried to destroy all the evidence. They tried to say that there was no case because they didn't have any evidence. They tried to close the case. The case in which 14 people have been killed and 3 women have been gang raped and 2 of them have been murdered. 2 small babies have been murdered. The Gujarat police wanted to close the case. But then an application was filed in the Bombay High Court, or I think in the Supreme Court, to transfer the case out of Gujarat. Now imagine that the Supreme Court felt that justice could not be done in Gujarat. So this is the real Gujarat model. And we must remember what happened to those who were ruling Gujarat, where they are today. So then this case was transferred to Bombay, the CBI court in Bombay. And there in 2008, finally, these 11 people, one had died in the course of this thing. 11 of them were sentenced to life imprisonment. And they were locked up. But now we hear that actually they got parole regularly and they spent more time outside the jail than inside the jail. This is another horrible reality of this Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao, what does it mean? And in fact, they also threatened some of the witnesses. Those reports were also given to the police. But one FIR was lodged, the others were not converted. The applications were not converted into FIRs. And then on 15th of January, when our Prime Minister was saying from the Red Fort that women have to be protected, women have to be respected. In fact, at that very moment, these 11 barbaric criminals were given remission by the Gujarat government. And we all know that when they came out of the jail, they were greeted like heroes by the VHP, and they were given sweets and garlanded and all the rest of it. And then a member of the committee responsible for recommending their remission, he was an MLA, he said that they were Sanskari Brahmins. So we don't know what that means. Does it mean that, like Manu Smriti says, Brahmins are not to be punished for any crime, and others are to be punished for crimes according to their status in the caste hierarchy? These are some of the questions that come to mind. Also, now are people going to be tried on the basis of the religion and the religion of those whom they have committed offenses against? Is that going to become important rather than the nature of the crime? And in Hathras also, we have seen something similar in that rape case of the Balmiki girl. Anyway, this was just such a horrible and such a horrifying remission that all of us, we protested, and but so far the government has not responded to those protests or questions. And that's when very senior and leading lawyers of this country, they really need to be thanked by every citizen who hopes that democracy will be saved. People like Kapil Sibal and uh, Ranjana Bhatt and also others, they decided that they wanted to file this PIL challenging this remission. And they asked me if I would be a petitioner, and I immediately agreed. And then, as you know, Revathi, Laul and Roop Rekha also agreed. So the three of us are co-petitioners in this petition. And in the first hearing itself, the lawyer for these convicts said that we had no locus standi. Who were we to challenge this remission? We were neither the victim nor related to the victim, so how could we take this step? And there was a tense moment in the court, but then the Chief Justice at that time, Mr. Ramanna, he admitted our petition and gave them time to respond. And then the response came. And the response came on the last date, which was the 17th of October. And on that date, it was a very long rejoinder that they filed. So then we asked for time. And now I think on the 29th, our response will be heard and possibly a verdict will be given around that time. So I think this is a very important case, and every citizen should be interested in the outcome of this case. Because on the one hand, there are people shouting that rapists, murderers who commit heinous crimes should be hanged. I am not in favor of hanging. My organization is also not in favor of hanging. But certainly we are in favor of locking these such people up till the day they die. They're not supposed to come out again. So if this is going to be done, if they are going to be given remission on the basis, unfortunately and tragically, of their religion and the religion of those that they have killed and raped, and that's a very sad day for our country. And we're seeing now worse things happening, like Ram Rahim has also got parole because of a by-election, etc. And one of the members of that committee, the MLA who said these are Sanskari Brahmins, his daughter is now contesting from Godhra. And in the response that they filed, is very interesting. They have said that the Home Ministry gave permission when the Gujarat government applied to the Home Ministry. Immediately, usually these things linger on for years. You see the people who are in jail not getting bail. Human rights activists and all that. But here the permission was given immediately within a week or 10 days by the Supreme Court, by the Home Ministry. This is what they have filed in their rejoinder. And they have also referred to the fact that there were complaints made about these people when they were on parole. And also they have said that the CBI court, which had convicted the 11 people, did not give its assent to their remission. And if we remember, the judge who convicted them said that their crime is a blot on humanity. It is a heinous crime, a blot on humanity, and he was totally opposed to their being given remission. And the SP who was in charge of the case, he also did not give permission or his assent for the remission. So these are the points now, and we are going to be back in the Supreme Court at the end of this month. Let's see what happens.
Thank you so much, ma'am. You have covered all, I think. Thank you for.
If there's anything else you want to ask, then.
Yeah, ma'am. Like you've covered maximum part of my questions.
But I think that all young women like you, students, you all really must raise your voices against this wherever you can in your institutions of learning. Maybe some signature campaign you should do. How can the government do this? On the one hand, the safety of women is so much risk in Uttar Pradesh every single day. Women, young women, little girls are being raped and killed. And then on top of it, if these kind of criminals are released and their daughter, I mean, no, it's that man himself is the candidate. I'm sorry. The riot convicted in Naroda Patia case, his daughter is contesting in Ahmedabad. This man who called them Sanskari Brahmins, he himself is contesting again from Godhra. I mean, I think that we should not go into what is the religion of these people, what is the religion of the victims, but how can people who have committed such horrible crimes against women and against young girls and babies and murdered people, how can they be considered heroes? How can they be made representatives of the people? I mean, it's just shocking. And we should be shocked by all such incidents. If some man in Delhi, cuts his lover up into pieces, it's horrible. We all protest, but we should not be selective in our protests, is what I'm trying to say. These crimes cannot be condoned. There can be no sympathy for these criminals.
Absolutely, ma'am.
But I think this case has shocked people all around the country. I mean, I
Yeah,
think it really has.
it really has, ma'am.
So your fellow students are also angry about it?
Yeah, ma'am. The number of brutal rape cases in India is increasing every day, and the release of the 11 convicts has really shocked us. Being a proud daughter of our country, it's my right to breathe freely and follow my goals, work, and explore without the fear of security. The inhuman act performed by them is really brutal, and it cannot be judged on what their religion is. Thank you for the opportunity, ma'am. I am grateful for interviewing with you today.